Nearly a third of the Earth's land is covered by forest. Trillions of trees are operating what is essentially one of the largest and cleanest factories in the world, working 24/7 to lock in carbon and produce oxygen.
They've been doing it for millions of years. They are remarkably good at it. They are better than any machine that we've managed to come up with thus far. These glorious organisms which have this ability to become the biggest, the tallest, the fattest things we've ever grown on the planet. And they then have this ability to lock up carbon into a great structure like this amazing beech tree in front of us.
John Stokes has dedicated his life to trees, and his work at the Tree Council is coming to fruition. The British government has just committed to reduce the UK's net greenhouse gas emissions to zero by 2050. A big part of achieving that goal is to dramatically increase the number of trees planted right across the country. The Climate Change Committee wants around 3 billion new trees in the next 3 decades.
It doesn't have to be just forests. We're going to have to put trees everywhere. To make this work, we're going to have to think about gardens, because people can plant trees in their gardens. Everyone counts. You're going to be talking about parks, you're going to be talking about streets, you're going to be talking about hedgerows. And if you do all of those different places, then absolutely we've got more than enough space.
The impact that woodland and trees have on capturing CO2 cannot be underestimated. And the UK lags behind its European neighbours when it comes to the number of trees. It's why the committee is making dramatic and ambitious plans to increase the number of trees being planted right across the UK. Currently, forests and woodlands cover only 13% of the UK, with the largest areas in Scotland, Northumberland and Hampshire. The Climate Change Committee report recommends increasing forest coverage to 17%. The report calls for at least 30,000 hectares of trees to be planted each year until 2050. The UK is woefully behind that and the current recommendation of 20,000 hectares a year. In 2018, a little over 9,000 hectares were planted. Planting that many trees, as well as boosting active woodland management, would increase the net amount of carbon trapped in UK forests and woodland to 22 metric tonnes per year by 2050.
And then you pick them. Then you pick them, but you only pick them with a grown-up, don't you?
66-year-old Dick Walters has been a local tree warden in Eastleigh, Hampshire for the last 30 years. He's among volunteers who've transformed an overgrown woodland into a thriving forest, and is now passing on his wisdom to younger generations.
It's not taught in school now. A lot of children at 10 or 11 don't know where an apple came from, haven't seen an oak tree, and don't understand the process of nature and what nature does. They're our answer for the future.
Dick's one of 6,000 tree wardens across the country who are playing a vital role in ensuring our trees are looked after. But increasing tree cover in the UK by such a large amount can't be left to just local groups alone. It'll need major projects, investment and new forests created from scratch. 25 years ago, this area of the Midlands was mining territory. Coalfields left desolate as the industry declined. It's now the National Forest, 200 square miles of regenerated land, thriving with millions of trees, with more being planted every year. A success story in turning wasteland to woodland, carbon emitting to carbon absorbing.
They're a sustainable source.
Sue Anderson helped plant the first trees.
We're creating a whole new forest here and been going 20 odd years. We began with about 6% woodland cover and we're now at 20% and we're heading for around about a third. So all around you, you will see young trees, but also trees that are 20, 25 years old who are beginning to feel like a mature forest.
The National Forest is living proof that creating vast new woodlands can be achieved in a relatively short space of time.
Right, that's it, Dave. Pop them out the way for us.
Even on this large scale, small armies of volunteers are needed. This group keeps one area of the National Forest in check in return for firewood to sell. Those in charge say managing the forest is just as important as planting it.
You can plant a woodland and it will grow, the trees will grow just fine, but if you do the management, the trees will be growing at a better efficiency and therefore capturing more carbon.
But where will the land come from to create new forests like this? The Climate Change Committee says a fifth of farmland must be converted to alternative use, such as tree planting. But we live in a country where space is already at a premium. Despite that, even in urban city centres, there are opportunities. This patch of land in Portsmouth was bombed in the war, but in the last 5 years has been transformed into a community orchard.
Now it's a fantastic area and the local people love it. The children from the play park come across and join in to plant things. People walking through enjoy it.
In urban environments, these little pockets of heaven, these are really important.
Taking action to save our environment is no longer a sideline issue in politics.
We've got a target of 11 million trees being planted by the end of this Parliament, but we've got aspirations beyond that. And in our 25-year environment plan, we set out a target or an aspiration of moving from 10% tree cover in England to 12%. That's the equivalent of covering an area the size of Dorset in trees. So there is real ambition there, but we realise there's more we need to do.
It's this momentum that could see plans for billions of trees grow into reality.
I've been doing this for 30 years and I have genuinely never felt more excited than I am at the moment about this complete opportunity that exists, that's being realised by all age groups and across the country. And it is fantastic to see the young people realising that they need to be thinking about doing something.
Tree by tree, planting projects across the country are already underway. The aim to plant now to lock away carbon for hundreds of years to come. Dan Whitehead, Sky News.